Alright, so in this tutorial I'm just gonna go through what does a for loop function means. The reason why you need to know for loop is to understand how does it work before understanding what does for each means, and to understand what are the indexers and stuff. So to begin, we gotta do something like a command. So let's just let x equals to, let's put it as 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let x equals to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then we will have a function. We'll create an index. So let's just put let index. Let's just declare it a variable so that you understand what does everything means. Next, we are gonna use a for loop function. It's called for let index equals to 0, index lesser than x dot length, and then index plus plus. So what does x dot length essentially means? So x dot length, it means that it's taking the entire chain and adding the numbers up. So what does this mean is that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the x dot length is 5. So essentially, what does this formula means is that it gives an index value of 0 if index is lesser than x dot length, then which is index is equals to 5, lesser than 5, it will keep continuing this function, which means that it will keep adding 1. So to further clarify this, we have to understand what does index means. So what does index means? Index is basically a integer that represent each array. So we have index 0 is 2 for this array function. Index 1 is 4, index 2 is 6, index 3 is 8, and index 4 is 10. So you got all these functions lined up. So this is what you call the index. This is called an element. So this individual number is called an element, and this is the index. So this element, an element is the numbers inside an array. So what does an element means is array I, or array index. So this is an element. I hope I make it clear. So for example, you have a array, which this is the whole chunk of an array is this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is your entire array. Alright? And inside the entire array, there are different indexes. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are the sequential index. So now we get this clear out of the way. We know that the 3 element functions, the field variables is x is a variable. Okay. We have an element which is equals to array open bracket index. This is the element. We have the index, which is also known as the sequence order that starts with 0. Okay, and then we have the array, which is the whole chunk of text itself. So get it across the way. So now let's work with the for function. So for loop, let index equals to 0, index lesser than x dot length, index plus plus. So what does this mean? How does a for loop function mean? Basically, a for loop function puts in a let condition, or we call it as a starting point of an index. Okay, you gotta put this special. I call it a full stop or a comma, and then we will have a length or a condition to stop. So this function is gonna run until it reaches this condition, and or else this condition will keep happening. So or else this will happen. So we have a starting point, which is let index is equals to 0. This is our starting point of an index or a condition. We have a index less than x dot length, meaning that this index, as long as this index is lesser than the length of the array, we will let this happen, which is we will increment the index by 1. So get it out of the way. Next condition, we will add in a function, which is console.log. Add in a function. We can put in a function which is xi. We also call this as a element. So wherever this condition has been added, it will loop this array. So let's run this and let's find out if it's true. Oh, okay. Also, one of the thing is that I missed out the index. It's supposed to be index, right? So now we run this command. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So now we have gotten it out of the way, and we have proven that the function works. So now we are gonna add in some conditions to ensure that we know exactly what does for loop means. Okay, so great. Let's have some questions. So now the first question is that we are going to increase the array by 2 times. So what we essentially wanted is that our output needs to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. This is the output we want. But the current output we have, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So how do we do that? So first of all, you must understand that you are able to change the result of the array in the for loop function. So how you're gonna do that is that you just have to give in a new a variable. Let's call this a z. So let z equals to, so we are gonna take the element which is x index, multiple by 2, and then this console.log we are gonna change to z. So what does this mean is that we are declaring a local variable, and this local variable is gonna generate the element of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 by 2 in the multiple. So now we did run 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Or the other way we can call it as we can still do it as console log index. So we just gotta say that the new x index is equals to the old index multiplied by 2. So this will give us the new index. So this will work the same. So now what if we do not declare a new variable for x index? What if we were to remove this? The value does not change. And the reason for this is because for loop, it does not return a new value, a new element into the console.log. So no matter what, you have to declare a new variable for this to happen, or you can declare a new variable for this to happen, or you can declare the same variable and you just gotta console log the same thing. So it will return a new value. So no matter what, you still have to add in like a new new index. You gotta put in the equal sign for it to store the new value. That's for loop. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. Second condition. So this is the second task we are doing. We are gonna loop from for onwards. So how we are gonna do that? So to do that, we just gotta add in some condition, which is we know that the index starts from 0. We are gonna start from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So in order to start from 4, we just gotta increase the index by 1. And now we should be able to print everything without the 2. So now the next condition, we are going to stop at 8. So essentially what we want to output is we are gonna output 2, 4, 6, 8. That's what we are trying to output. So to do that, we just gotta change this back to 0, and we just gotta change the x.length to 4. So what this essentially does is gonna loop from 0, 1, 2, 3. So we should be able to stop at 8. What if we were to do both the condition together? So we are gonna start from 4, we are gonna stop at 8. So we just gotta change the index to 1. So we're gonna start from 4 and we're gonna end at 8. Okay, so next we are gonna remove 10 from the array. So we are gonna remove this from the 10. So there are two ways you can do it. Is that we are gonna go through one more thing. We are gonna go through the push and pop function. So let's change this back to 0, and let's change this back to x.length. Essentially what we are gonna do is that we are going to remove 10 from the array. So before the for loop method, we can input a function or a method. It's called x.push. It's called x.pop. So nothing else. So what does this means is that treat this like a plate, right? So the plate has 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So this plate is stacked in this manner, and in order for us to pop something out, we are gonna pop the 10 from the top. So this is the plate. Whenever we want to take something, we are gonna take from the top. So we're gonna pop the plate from the top, meaning that pop is removing 1, removing 10. And if we were to add in a new number, it's gonna be push. We're gonna push in a new plate, and we're gonna push in 10. So what does pop means is that we are removing a number at the top. So x.pop, meaning we are removing the last digit, which is 10. So now we should be able to console log 2, 2, 8. So what if we were to put in some numbers inside? Let's say we're gonna put in 8. So what does this mean? Let's find out. So it still does pop the last digit, and the numbers did not add in as the new number, right? So if we were to put in 100, what about 1? Yeah, we're just gonna, no matter what number you put in, it's just gonna remove the last digit. That's pretty much it. Okay, so now we get pop out of the way. Let's put in the function push. So let's put in push. So what does this gives is that it gives the same thing, but there isn't anything stacked on top. So if you remember that we have the plates, right? So what does push means? Basically, it just adds in a new number at the top. But our push function does not have any numbers. So no matter whatever we put anything on top is empty. So it's just an empty element. So no matter how much we console log, it's still the same. But what if we put in like a number, let's say 12? So what does this essentially does is that we are pushing a new plate called the element 12. So now the new array is gonna be 2 to 12, as you can see from here. So this is how push or pop function works. But what if we do know that in order for us to print this whole chunk, we are going to do a pop function because we are removing 10 from the array. So we just gotta put in x.pop, and then whatever value is inside doesn't really matter, right? So now we have removed number 10. But what if we were to put this pop function inside the for loop? What does this do? So let's find out. So as you can see, it console logs 2, 4, and undefined. So why does this happen? Is that for every single loop it goes through, it is removing an array. It is removing an element at the top. So what does this mean? Is that we have x.pop at the back, right? x.pop. So whatever value doesn't matter. So what does this mean is that the first index is gonna go to is 2. So 2 came out, right? And then it goes through this for loop, and then it removes 10 from the array, which is it removes an element at the top. And then it goes through the second index, which is 1. So on the second index, it prints out 4. And then it removes 8, which is the element it removes. And then in the third iteration, it actually prints, it goes through this function again, and it is going to print 6. However, because this function ran before console.log, this function has been removed. So because it has been removed, but it is still getting called, that's why we have the undefined console. So that is why you should not put pop inside your loop function. If you want to remove something or add something, put in outside the loop. Put in outside the for loop. So it will give you the result you desire. But what if you were to put the push function? Okay, so let's put in a new question. So now we are going to add. We're gonna add 12 to the array at the back. So what we are going to do is we are going to add in 12 at the back. So the output is supposed to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So what we can do is that we can there are definitely a few ways, right? There are ways that you can just add in a length. So you can add 1 over here, or you can just use the push function to add in a number, right? So let's put in push function, add in a 12 at the back. So now we can give this result. But what if we were to put this push function inside the loop? What will happen is that it's gonna crash the system. So let's find out. Oops, okay, it hangs. Yep. So what does it essentially does is that it actually adds in 12 continuously into my website. So it's just gonna crash the website itself. So that is how you do the for loop function. And I hope you enjoy this video. So give it a like, subscribe, or whatever you plan to do. And I hope everyone have a great day ahead. Happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video for the arrow function.